Anyway, she dies. The day of her funeral arrives. Now, I never talk about myself and my own trauma, but just imagine how this made me feel. And imagine how her parents felt. So on one side of the church, we have a predatory elder male who is the father of her child. On the right-hand side of the church, this predator that she had only known for 6 months, whereas I've known this kid my whole life. You know, he should have just stayed somewhere at the back of the church with his head down, for fuck's sake. But anyway, for some reason, we, the paternal side of the family, are sat on the second pew behind this predatory male. It just is so utterly antagonizing and infuriating. I was directly behind this man, looking at the back of his head. But anyway, astoundingly, he brought his own children. I'm not joking. His daughter looked a little younger than my cousin, and she looked fucking traumatized. She has had to witness her father giving validation to a girl not much older than herself, but not just validation, but sexual gratification. And this right here, it leaves your own daughter with the same issues that my cousin had, meaning that she is liable to only enter relationships with predatory elder men, just like her father. It is a horrific, vicious cycle. Anyway, they genuinely had to require 2 separate funeral cars to keep these 2 predatory senior men apart. Such was the animosity between them over a fucking young woman, a girl essentially, a young woman resembling a teenager, both physically and mentally. These fucking creeps, I tell you. You know, on a serious note, I think most people by now will have come to realize I have been severely traumatized throughout my life by this shit. But I have addressed all of my trauma. I'm doing so ongoingly by turning it into a positive, using it to inspire me to make a difference. Anyway, clearly, we can observe that this was a developing young woman with severe emotional and psychological issues that were not being addressed and instead being exploited. Now, here's the thing. If we can observe this girl's issues from the outside, then I tell you now, all of these senior men that have been in relationships with her, they definitely can. In truth, they are all aware of her issues, and by being anywhere fucking near her, are actively exploiting them. They have taken advantage of her issues. Unequivocal fact. And this is transferable. This is applicable to every age gap relationship of this nature. It is a generalization that you can make. These relationships, they should just not be happening whatsoever. Morally, ethically, fundamentally, they just present so many dangers. There's such a high capacity for abuse, be it not physical then emotional. They're ultimately, fundamentally exploitative. And you're more liable to succumb to psychological damage than you are to actually developing these relationships. By entering a relationship of this nature, so let's say you're a teenager or a woman in your 20s dating a man twice your age, your father's age, perhaps even your grandfather's age, you are taking a fucking huge risk, girl, and you do not need to be, you don't need to be taking that risk. Why are you taking that risk? What are you doing? I'm telling you now. Like, I usually try and be really rational, really psychoanalytical in my videos, but I'm telling you now, you need fucking help. Everybody can see it. They're just too fucking scared to say anything because they don't know how to handle the situation. They don't know how to protect you. And protection starts by not validating the fucking relationship that you're in, showing your disapproval. Yeah, she's gonna move closer to this predator, it's gonna isolate herself, she's gonna come to resent you momentarily, but I can guarantee you now, in the not too distant future, she will realize, she will come to a realization herself, and she will return asking for help, and she will need you there to be able to provide her with emotional security, with support, with stability. If you just validate these relationships, you're accepting that there's nothing unusual about it, and she thinks she can continue it, and she thinks she can do it again. So time and time again, she's just going to be bringing elder men home. She is never going to address her issues, and ultimately she's going to end up 6 feet under by the age of 27. And like, if you don't believe me, just look what happened here, okay? Now, get this. So my family were in discussion the other day, and somebody mentioned, well, actually, I believe that she was the one who advanced on that senior man. And I was very quick to shut her down and correct this narrative. Listen to me and listen hard. This senior man is still the one to be held accountable. Always. Never blame the female. Simply put, we don't just all reach the age of 18 and suddenly overnight our brain is that of an emotionally and psychologically fully developed, mature, stable adult. And that is what a true adult is. Not being 18 years and over, not having a car, not having a career, not having your own fucking apartment. Being an adult is to be an emotionally developed, mature, stable individual. And all of these young women that I make examples of in my videos, they were not. And it was not their fault. They were all fundamentally still developing, but then These elder predatory men, they come along and they exploit them, they stunt their development, they regress their development, they stop being able to identify their issues, they're being enabled. But I've already said this, in truth, the process continues from the age of legal consent up to and into your 30s and beyond. Now this is fact, this is scientific fact. Like, your brain doesn't actually even finish physical development until your late 20s, for God's sake. And this is why any man over the age of 40, perhaps 50, 60, in a quote-unquote romantic relationship with anybody in her teens or 20s, there is simply absolutely no excuse for what you are doing. No excuse. And if I see you in the street, I will call it out. I will call you out, okay? It is not okay. I don't know when society came to accept this, but fundamentally, it is ethically wrong, and people need to stop being so fucking desensitized and wake the fuck up and start recognizing reality. If the young female is indeed the one to be showing interest in the older man at his advanced stage in life, his psychological and emotional development, he is considered an emotionally developed, stable, mature adult. He fundamentally knows better. He knows. A good man, a conscientious man, would recognize this girl clearly has issues. She's too young. She's definitely going to outgrow me eventually anyway. I need to stay the fuck away from her. I need to rebuff her advances. I perhaps need to help her. This is why, well, she advanced upon me, is never, and I repeat, never an excuse. This is also unequivocal proof that there is no, I repeat, no such thing as the nice older man or Mr. Nice Guy epithets. The simple fact is, when these elder men begin to advance on these young females, when they actively become involved with them, they don't stop to think about the adversity that they are potentially presenting to the young female. Umbrella Academy girl, okay? She genuinely moved out of her family home the month following that incident, clearly not wanting to expose her relationship, or perhaps she had done and her family disowned her, in which case, good for them. They do not care that they are potentially destroying a family dynamic, burning bridges, losing your friends, pushing your support network away, isolating yourself. They just do not care. They want you to isolate yourself. They don't want you to have these support networks. They just want to be able to control you and subjugate you. They hope that you will do half of the work for them by removing yourself from your support networks and pushing your family and friends away. From the inception of these relationships, these men are thinking about one thing and one thing only, and that is themselves, not the young women that they are getting involved with. Thank you very much for listening. I'm sorry if I sound very, very animated in this video, more so than I usually do. But I genuinely think that given the title of this video, given the subject matter, you can empathize with me, right? Okay, so thank you. Thank you very much. Please stay safe. Please be aware of the dangers. In fact, just stay away from older, senior, elder men in general. And yeah, just be safe, be cautious, and be safe. Actually, here's a very important life lesson for you. Know your own fucking worth. You are worth so much more than these fucking relationships, these predatory men. And this is a mantra that I want you to carry around with you. Okay, thank you. Bye.